What's up, guys? Claydragon29 back here again. It's been a while, but I'm going to take you through now some duels that I've done with a Blue Eyes deck. So a bit of old school, but what they've been able to do is they've added in a couple of new cards to the deck, which has made it actually a really strong deck in the current meta. Especially Blue Eyed Maiden, right here, Bellow of the Silver Dragon, which is basically another monster reborn for Blue Eyes, which is great. So the basic thing that I try and do with this deck is, Prism is really handy because, of course, with his effect, I can basically just dump a Blue Eyes from my deck to the graveyard, and then his name is also Blue Eyes, so, for Polymerization or Dragon's Mirror, you can use Blue Eyes instead, which is always great. So then also with Blue Eyed Maiden, you can bring out Blue Eyed Silver Dragon, which is a great card. Just hold off your opponent. I'm turning back to this duel. So up against a Batman guy. So this is Blue Eyed Maiden, great effect, and this is a great combo with Rise Bell that I explained in my other video, which is where not only do you get the Blue Eyes, but then you can go into Ancient Sacred Wyvern, and then basically he's just admitted defeat because he's got nothing really in his hand, and he knows that my Blue Eyes can take care of his Utopia, and his Micro Cell's not going to do anything. So I found this deck to actually be very consistent. It's done very well in a lot of the duels that I've played. It's really only stopped by your Evil Swarms, or really there's not many decks that are really going to shut this deck down. So I find though that against the current meta, it's probably not strong enough, not like in the sense of attack, because obviously, Blue Eyes, White Dragon, 3000 attack, not many cards are going to be able to get over that, but more in the sense that it's just, it does lose a bit of consistency, because you can just have dead draws. Blue Eyes, White Dragons, and Blackluster Soldier can be dead draws, but sometimes it does work. Like a couple of times in the past, I believe I brought out Dragon Master Knight, and of course, has been solemn straight away, or bottomless, which has sucked, but it is possible in the deck. But Digestor Emerald is a great combo to use with a Prisma. So if you get Goblinberg or Summon a Monk, then you bring out your Prisma and use Prisma effect to dump the Blue Eyes, and then of course Emerald's effect is just going to bring it back. So it's basically really good work there. So with the other cards in the extra deck, I've kind of gone with some generic ones like Gaga Cowboy. You got your Utopia in there and some other cards, but I'll be getting to that in the actual deck review, which I'll be doing a bit later on, and that's what I'm going to start doing now, as well as I'm going to do reviews of the actual decks themselves. So in the meantime, I think what I'll just do now is just go through some of these duels. So I'm up against a Destiny Hero guy here. And I've started off okay. I've got Prisma and Maiden on the field, which is handy. And I've got Compulsive back and Bellow the Silver Dragon. So Bellow will be really handy with the Blue Eyes that I've got in my grave right now. So if need be, I can hit it. But he goes to banish Blue Eyed Maiden, and then I can chain also Compulsive Evac to my Maiden. So not only does Maiden come back, but then I get my Blue Eyes. Well, I don't get my Blue Eyes because she's been bounced or something. She was targeted by 2 effects, so I accidentally I inadvertently negated her effect, which wasn't very smart of myself, but oh well. I end up using Bellow of Silver Dragon to get Blue Eyes anyway, so start going to work on her monsters, and then Silver Dragon, which is great. It basically can only really be destroyed by battle the first turn that it comes out, and then in my standby phase I can just keep getting Blue Eyes to my side of the field. So a bit cautious of his traps, but I decided to go for Blue Eyes anyway, and I can chain an MST to his face down, but it just tends to be a heavy storm. I'm just thinking, okay. Still not sure about that, so ends up being a Morphing Jar, which in a way is actually quite good for me because of the cards that I'm actually able to get. I Lance Maiden. Maiden then gets me another Blue Eyes, which is great, and then I can bring out another Silver Dragon, so all my dragons are now protected. Compulsive Act 1 for 1 will be good next turn to bring out Maiden, then I can go into my third dragon. So he goes Avarice, is good now. He's got a pretty solid hand. Good Goblin Housekeeping. I don't really see the point in using it, but obviously he sees it being important, so whatever floats his boat. So yeah, here I just go into third Silver Dragon, which will protect all my monsters, so I figure why not go for the attack, but he's got Necro Gardener, which means that he will be protected this turn, which is a bit of a downer, but yeah, I feel pretty safe against him. But goes to Goblin Housekeeping again, tries going Dark Hole, which won't work. Reckless Greeds, and so he's got his Morphing Jar again. And this is where it starts getting interesting, because he'll go Monster Incarnation into Dark Armed, and it just so happens then that he has the ones that he needs. The only problem is that so he destroys a fair few things here with his Dark Arms effect, but he ends it because he realizes that he's only got 2,200 life points left and a Burial face down, and he doesn't have anything that he can actually Synchro Plague Spreader Zombie or Morphing Jar into, which means next turn I can just attack with Blue Eyes and it's game. So that wasn't wise by him. So now we're into duel against a Gagaga person. I don't actually mind the Gagaga deck. I think it's kind of fun, but I probably wouldn't run it, to be honest. It's I suppose you could just say inconsistency, but it's also just not really that powerful. I mean, Gagaga Magician and Gagaga Girl are good, but the rest of the deck is a bit of a downer, so I generally wouldn't use it. So yeah, he's pulled 2 Gagaga Bolts in the same turn, which kind of sucked for me. But I'll use Prisma's effect to dump a Blue Eyes. Merge and Teleport Rise Belt to use its effect to become level 4. Because that's the backup plan you can have, is using Emerge and Teleport while you go level 4 on the field, so you can go into MRL, which will give me Blue Eyes as well. So yeah, I've been able to clear a tool, but he's got Gagaga Gardener, and I really can't get through that, so that's a bit annoying, but what are you going to do? I mean, he goes into Breaker, and he's going to just... Oh, he decides to remove the thing to take care of my face down because he's got Utopia, so fair enough, I suppose. So he's got Gagaga Shield face down, which isn't really going to do much for him. I decide to Monster Reborn a second Blue Eyes, and they'll both proceed to basically just attack his Utopia. Forbidden Lance face down. Utopia is basically useless to him now. Utopia can't really do anything. Gagaga Revenge, not really going to do much for him either. He's got Gagaga Shield, but I take care of that with Heavy Storm, and the replay's over because well, he's got nothing to defend with. The next turn he's got to deal with 2 Blue Eyes. So final duel I want to take you through was against a 6 Sam person. I actually do have a review of 6 Sams coming up, so stay tuned for that. I figure I'd just start with a Maiden because, let's see him try and get through it. Smoke Signals, and so he actually, in all fairness, has a great hand. Like, not gonna lie, starting with... But he goes into Heroic Champion Gandiva, and I have no idea why. He's got 2 Keyzans, and for some reason goes into Gandiva thinking he can negate Maiden. Oh, it was just ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous, and for some reason doesn't set his Judgment, which he could have used to negate this activation. So instead of get a Blue Eyes out, he could have even done it to negate anything else. Now, I do make a mistake here in not going into Silver Dragon, but then he attacks Maiden. I mean, did he not realize from his last mistake that Maiden's just going to get me out the Blue Eyes? And I mean, it's just ridiculous, and I'm just like, okay, Silver Dragon, then he goes Solemn Judgment. I'm like, alright, fair enough. Well, now I got Dragon's Mirror, so I can bring out Ultimate Dragon. I realize his face down isn't anything threatening, but the thing is that it was a ridiculous duel. So anyway, that was my Blue Eyes thing, so please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be coming up with a lot more things, and you should be seeing a deck profile of the Blue Eyes deck hopefully in the next couple of days.